Hi, hello everybody, this is teacher Fernando. On today, we're working on two handouts that were sent to you previously. So today we're checking on the answers on these handouts, okay? So let's get started. So the first worksheet or handout is this that says past progressive, and it begins with a look and think activity. So you have a sentence which says, at 4 p.m., I was having coffee with a friend of mine. What action does the sentence express? How did you understand it? So here is just reflection. If you answer this in English or Spanish, is perfect. The idea is for you to reflect actually, and you can tell me that here you have an action that was in process, that was going on, etc., things like that. Then we have the first actual activity, which says, look at the pictures. Where were these people at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon? And what were they doing? Write two sentences for each picture. So in the first picture, says the example, Anne with the home and watch TV. And number one is Anne was at home. She was watching TV. Then we have number two, which is Carol and Jack. You say Carol and Jack were at the cinema. They were watching a film. Then number three, John was in his car. He was driving. Four, Catherine was at the station. She was waiting for a train. And number five, Mr. and Mrs. Hall were at the park. They were walking. And number six is a free answer question, because it's asking about you. So it depends on what you were doing at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Then we have the next activity with Sarah. It says, Sarah did a lot of things yesterday morning. Look at the pictures and complete the sentences. So here we have the answers, and they are. Number one, at 9:45, she was washing her car. Two, at 11:45, she was swimming in the pool. Number three, at 9 o'clock, she was reading a newspaper. Number four, at 12:50, she was making lunch. Number five, at 8:15, she was having breakfast. Number six, at 10:30, she was listening to music. Then we have the complete the questions activity. Here you have to use was or were plus the verb in ing, and of course the words what, where, and why if they are necessary. So the example, which is number one, is where were you living in 1990? The answer is in London. Then number two, what were you doing at 2 o'clock? I was asleep is the answer. Number three, was it raining when you got up? No, it was sunny. Then number four, why was Anne driving so fast? Because she was in a hurry. Number five, was Tim wearing a suit yesterday? No, a t-shirt and jeans. Then we have this one, which is, look at the picture. You saw Joey in the street yesterday afternoon. What was he doing? Write positive or negative sentences. Number one is example. He wasn't wearing a jacket. And then we continue with the rest. Number two, he was carrying a bag. Number three, he wasn't going to the dentist. Number 4, he was eating an ice cream. Number 5, he wasn't carrying an umbrella. Number 6, he wasn't going home. Number 7, he was wearing a hat. Number 8, he wasn't riding a bike. Now we go on to the second worksheet. And the first is a look and think activity, in which you have to look at the example here, which is the following. It says, yesterday, Karen and Jim played tennis. They began at 10 o'clock and finished at 11:30. So at 10:30, they were playing tennis. They were playing equals they were in the middle of playing. They had not finished playing. So we're in the present of the past continuous because we had was or were plus the verb with ing. So what we have is that they were describing what they were doing at that moment. Then we have here another situation which it says, I was doing something. I was in the middle of doing something at a certain time. The action or situation had already started before this time, but had not finished. So I started doing something, I was doing something, and then I finished doing that thing. Examples. This time last year, I was living in Brazil. What were you doing at 10 o'clock last night? I waved to Helen, but she wasn't looking. So this situation, how can we explain it? We can say that the timeline is showing how the action is presented by demonstrating that it started at a certain point in the past, for then to indicate the period when the action was in progress in the past, and finally indicating the ending of the action. Now let's go into the actual activity. Here it says, what were you doing at these times? Write sentences as in the examples. The past continuous is not always necessary, and you can see that in the examples. Number 1, at 8 o'clock yesterday evening, I was having dinner. At 5 o'clock last Monday, I was on a bus on my way home. You can say something with the past continuous. You could say, I was going on a bus on my way home, and it's no problem. Then number 3, at 10:15 yesterday morning, I was teaching a class, or I was teaching a class at 10:15 yesterday morning. That's a complete answer. Number 4, at 4:30 this morning, I was sleeping at 4:30 this morning. Number 5, at 7:45 yesterday evening, I was baking bread at 7:45 yesterday evening. 6, half an hour ago, I was having supper half an hour ago. Then we have the following. It says, use your own ideas to complete the sentences. Use the past continuous. So, number 1 is example. It says, Matt phoned while we were having dinner. The doorbell rang while I was cooking dinner. 3, we saw an accident while we were driving on the highway. 4, Anne fell asleep while she was watching TV. 5, the television was on, but nobody was watching it. Here you can see that when we use the word while, after it we have the sentence in the past continuous. So every time you see the word while, it means that the following sentence should be using the past continuous form. If you're using the simple past, which is ed ending, when you have regular verbs, you have to use another word, which is the word when. We will study that later on, so don't worry. Okay, let's continue. The final activity is this one. Describe the actions your classmates were doing in the school yesterday. Use the past continuous. The idea here was for you to describe what people in the school were doing. Even you can put or write sentences of actions that your parents, your brothers, sisters were doing at home. Okay, it doesn't matter. What matters is that these actions are expressed in the past continuous. So use was or were plus the verb in ing form. So if you have those sentences using was or were plus the verb with ing, it means that you did a correct work. So that's the end of today's video. I hope you liked it and see you next time. Goodbye.